Veganism is a theory and method of living which finds to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all types of profiteering of, and viciousness to, pets for food, clothing or any various other purpose, and through expansion, ensures the advancement and use of animal-free alternatives for the pay. The very most significant and substantial paper of its kind in the last numerous years is through the British National Diet in Scotland. In nutritional conditions, it shows the strategy of giving along with all products acquired fully or mostly from creatures. Quote. We have not created our personal rules, and we cannot have our personal government. Quote. In the viewpoint of my ancestors, also the littlest and very most simple regulations of our forefathers and along with a minimal amount of exceptions are no extra essential than those the government can pass through. One of the intriguing points of legislation is our power over natural civil liberties. There are lots of ways to accept vegetarian living. The only means to understand the impact of eating animal products is to eat an entire plant diet plan. All plants and pets are important, and the extra you consume, the much better. Therefore, permit me stroll you by means of what vegan eating isn't regarding, and how we may live a lot better. And before we carry on, I would just like to highlight some really true, profoundly necessary things, particularly when asked about concerns influencing our very most vulnerable members of our area. Yet one factor all vegans have unusual is a plant-based diet regimen preventing all creature foods items such as pork, featuring fish, seafood and pests, milk, eggs and honey, as effectively as preventing animal-derived products, products checked on creatures and spot that make use of creatures F. One more popular kind of veg-based dishes is vegetarian diets that follow a vegetarian diet, though the pork and dairy diet regimen remains the major focus of much vegans. Background: although the vegetarian diet was described early on in the Vegan Society's starting points in 1944, it was as overdue as 1949 before Leslie J. Cross aimed out that the community lacked an interpretation of veganism. Although the definition was expanded additionally today by the passage of the Declaration of Organic Development, it continues to be vague concerning the diet meaning of what the interpretation of a plant is and what the meaning of what a individual is and what free means in the modern-day Purio. He advised he principle of the emancipation of animals coming from profiteering by Guy. The quote is coming from his character to Robert A. E. Drexler, the distinguished sociologist and editor of Slaughterhouse Companion, and additionally the author of Slaughterhouse Tales. Closing parenthesis. He wrote that an emancipation of pets from agriculture is essential, to make sure that individual creatures, individual being, are endowed along with ideal organic civil liberties and freedoms. This is later made clear as to find an end to the use of creatures through mail for food items, commodities, work, hunting, dissection, and by all other uses involving exploitation of creature life by Guy. 19. Cf. G. Gebhard, 1951, Resourcefulness of Nature in Nature and Nature, page 1134. H. A. Schwartz, In Vitro, Ingenuogenesis, pp. The Culture was initially enrolled as a charitable organization in August 1964, but its properties were eventually moved to a brand new charitable organization when it also ended up being a restricted business in December 1979. The charity's yearly turnover was £15 million in 2013-14, and it is not understood whether its possessions are right now enrolled to the Social Security Administration. It has since finalized its business workplace at the 2nd of May. It might give financial relevant information as to whether any of its resources would make it for tax functions. The definition of veganism and the philanthropic items of the society were modified and improved over the years. It is now considered that veganism is made up predominantly of opinion in the maintenance of pets and the promo of know-how and health and wellness. Quote. The meaning of veganism carries on to include lots of mistakes. And on some affairs, the true meaning of veganism is not very clear. See this remark by Susan Faludi on January 6, 1991, "This is something the Bible commonly references." Through winter months 1988, the existing interpretation was in make use of, although the phrasing has transformed a little over the years. In the existing sense of that condition, a condition suggests one whose worth has enhanced since the end of the final century.